And we are going to get right into Exodus chapters 38 and 39. But first of all, disclaimer. We know some people like to get up and read people to filth. That's okay. Do what you like to do. But we like to get up and read people to life. I was about to say filth, but I don't think so, y'all. It's been a long week. To life. And we know that life is Christ. More abundantly and all that good stuff, right? Also, we know physically people can't see, they can't read, they're mad, they walked away from God, they've been deceived, they don't know who to trust, what's right. So it's important that we get this message out to them, right? And also, people like you and I, we need this word as well to be able to stand strong in the midst of all the adversities and things that come along with religion, right? So with that being said, you all, let's go ahead and get right into Exodus 38 and 39. But first of all, don't forget your Bibles and your teacups and Religion Wing TV. My spiritual ears stay. So, 38 verse 1. Let's read. And he made the altar of burnt offering of shittim wood. 5 cubits was the length thereof, and 5 cubits the breadth thereof. It was 4 square, and 3 cubits the height thereof. 2. And he made the horns thereof on the 4 corners of it. The horns thereof were the same, and he overlaid it with brass. 3. And he made all the vessels of the altar, the pots and the shovels and the basins and the flesh hooks and the fire pans, all the vessels thereof made he of brass. Do you guys have brass in your house? I think I have some brass. I'm not sure. Honey, I go through my different stages, okay? So anyway, it goes on to say in verse 4, and he made the altar for the altar a brazen grate of network under the compass thereof, beneath unto the midst of it. 5. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the grate of brass, to be places for the staves. 6. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with brass. 7. And he put the staves unto the rings of the sides of the altar, to bear it withal. He made the altar hollow with boards. 8. And he made the laver of brass. Anybody know what the laver is? Put it in the comments, please. And the foot of it of brass. And of the looking glasses of the women assembling, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. So what is a looking glass, y'all? If you know, put it down below. Specific to women, okay? 9. And he made the court on the south side southward. The hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, and 100 cubits. 10. Their pillars were 20, and their brazen sockets 20. The hooks of the pillars of their fillets were of silver. 11. And for the north side of the hangings were 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets of brass 20. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. Let's go ahead and get to 12. And for the west side were hangings of 50 cubits. Their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets over silver. And guys, we did not do the last read twice. 341 is going to be up and published, and we are on 342. In that last video, I didn't know if we read it or not. All of what we're reading right now sounds like we read it before, right? But we didn't in that last read. So here in 13, and for the east side eastward 50 cubits. 14. The hangings of the one side of the gate were 15 cubits. Their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. 15. It just sounds repetitive. And for the other side of the court gate, on this hand and that hand, were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. 16. And the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen. 17. And the sockets for the pillars were of brass, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver, and the overlaying of their chapiters of silver. And all of the pillars of the court were filleted with silver, was laid with silver, okay? A thin layer of silver. 18. And the hanging of the gate of the court was needlework of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, and 20 cubits was the length, and the height in the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the hangings of the court. 19. And their pillars were 4, and their sockets of brass 4, their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their chapiters, and their fillets of silver. 20. And all the pins of the tabernacle and the court round about were of brass. Let's go ahead and get into 21. This is the sum of the tabernacle, even of the tabernacle of testimony, as it is counted according to the commandment of Moses for the service of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. Now, they could be making 2 or 3 of the same thing here, or they could just be retelling of what they made prior, but I know we read a lot of this, and some of it is different. Now, excuse me, I do apologize. This coffee is good, y'all. I do apologize. 22. And Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made all that the Lord commanded Moses. 23. And with him, you see how the Lord is commanding Moses and not Bezalel. He's not talking directly to Bezalel, but whatever Moses is telling him to do, he is doing it. Thus saith the Lord. That's how it works, people. God is not out here talking to everybody that say, God said, God said, God said. I'm just saying. 23. And with him was Aholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver, and a cunning workman, and an embroiderer in blue, and in purple, and in scarlet, and fine linen. And these linens are hard to work with, y'all. Let me tell you, you got to be really good at it, right? 24. All the gold that was occupied for the work in the work of the holy place, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents, and 730 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And this is why the people are out building $50 million altars like T.D. Jakes. Joseph Prince over in Singapore has a $486 million church. Like, seriously. But they don't understand why people are homeless and stressed out and living in poverty around this world, because the people with the money is always trying to outdo God instead of do the work of God, which is take care of his people, right? So anyway, 25 says, no, 24, no, 25, because we read about the gold being occupied, right? And the shekel of the sanctuary. So 25 says, and the silver of them that were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,760 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. Do you think the money in the church is after the shekel of the sanctuary? Let me know down below what you think about that. 26. A becca for every man, that is half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary. For every one that went to be numbered from 20 years old and upward, for 600,000 and 550 men. Get a half a shekel, a becca. 27 says, where's our becca at, church? We've been numbered, every man over 21 years old, right, and upward. 27 says, and of the 100 talents of silver were cast the sockets of the sanctuary, and the sockets of the veil, and 100 sockets of the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. That's a good sermon, right? A talent for a socket. Alright, so we are on 28. And of the 1,775 shekels, he made hooks for the pillars, and overlaid their chapiters, and filleted them. Imagining here with silver, right? 29. And the brass of the offering was 70 talents, and 2,400 shekels. 30. And therewith he made the sockets to the door of the tabernacle for the congregation, and the brazen altar, and the brazen grate for it, and all the vessels of the altar. And 31 says, and the sockets of the court round about, and the sockets of the court gate, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about. And we're going to go right into 39, verse 1. Let's read. And of the blue and purple and scarlet they made cloths of service, to do service in the holy place, and made the holy garments for Aaron, as the Lord commanded Moses. 2. And he made the ephod of gold, blue and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. 3. And they did beat the gold into the thin plates, and cut it into wires, to work in the blue, and in the purple, and in the scarlet, and in the fine linen, with cunning work. 4. They made shoulder pieces for it, to couple it together. By the 2 edges was it coupled together. 5. And the curious girdle of his ephod that was upon it was of the same, y'all, according to the work thereof, of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, as the Lord commanded. Who? Moses. There's just some things the Lord is commanding other people to tell you, other than the people you actually are out here listening to. 6. And they wrought onyx stones enclosed in ouches of gold. What is ouches? Remember, graven as signets are graven with the names of the children of Israel, right? No other people names are carved or engraved anywhere when it comes to the Lord. 7. And he put them on the shoulders of the ephod, that they should be stones for a memorial to the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded. And where are these artifacts? We can find artifacts all around the world substantiating everybody else's origination and beginning. Where are our go take a tour under the Vatican basement, please. Someone tell them to expose what they know. So let's go ahead and get right into 8. Yep. And he made the breastplate of cunning work, like the work of the ephod, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and the fine twined linen. They go hand in hand, gold, blue, purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, right? So 9, it was 4 square. They made the breastplate double. A span was the length thereof, and a span the breadth thereof, being double. 10. And they sat in 4 rows of stones. The first row was a sardius, a topaz, a carbuncle. This was the first row. 11. And the second row, an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. The third, 12 says, in the third row, a ligure, an agate, and an amethyst. 13 says, in the fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They were enclosed in ouches of gold in their enclosings, in their casings, right? 14. And the stones were according to the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet, everyone with his name according to his 12 tribes. 15. And they made upon the breastplate chains at the ends, of wreathen work of pure gold. 16. And they made 2 ounces of gold and 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings in the 2 ends of the breastplate. 17. And they put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings of the ends of the breastplate. So let's go ahead and get into 18. And the 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains they fastened in the 2 ouches, and put them of the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. 19. This is getting good, y'all. Right? Stick with me. We're almost done. 19. And they made 2 rings of gold, and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate, upon the border of it, which was on the side of the ephod inward. They want everything else about God, but they skip all over this in church, right? 20. And they made 2 other golden rings, and put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath, toward the forepart of it, over against the other coupling thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. Very specific, right? 21. And they did bind the breastplate by his rings unto the rings of the ephod with the lace of blue, that it might be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate might not be loose from the ephod, as the Lord commanded Moses. 22. And Moses, let me just say, this was very particular on coming back and saying exactly what God said. 22. And he made the robe of the ephod of woven work, all of blue. 23. And there was an hole in the midst of the robe, as the hole of the habergeon, with the band round about the hole, that it should not rend. 24. And they made upon the hems of the robe pomegranates of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twine linen, right? But this doesn't have any gold here. Are y'all paying attention? 25. And they made bells of pure gold, and put the bells between the pomegranates upon the hem of the robe, round about between the pomegranates. Because if they had made the hems of robes of the pomegranates with gold, they wouldn't probably look good with the golds in between. So God, the verse 24 left out gold. Verse 25 gave you gold in between the pomegranates, right? So 26. And a bell and a pomegranate, round about the hem of the robe to minister in, as the Lord commanded Moses. 27. And they made the coats of fine linen of woven work for Aaron and for his sons. 28. And a mitre of fine linen. What is a mitre? We talked about this, right? And gold bonnets of fine linen, and linen breeches of fine twine linen. 29. And a girdle of fine twine linen, and blue and purple and scarlet, of needlework, as the Lord commanded Moses. So he ain't out here talking to everybody, y'all. 30. And they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrought upon it a writing, like to the engravings of a signet. It says, holiness to the Lord. Oh, holiness to the Lord, y'all, in verse 30. 31 says, and they tied it unto a lace of blue, to fasten it on high upon the mitre, as the Lord commanded Moses. The mitre would be the crown, the hat, the head covering, right? Turban, like. 32. Thus was all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation finished, and the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses, so did they. As the Lord commanded Moses, y'all, so should you. 33. And they brought the tabernacle unto Moses, the tent, and all his furniture, his tackies, his boards, his bars, and his pillars, and his sockets. 34. And the covering of ram's skins dyed red, and the covering of badger's skin, and the veil of the covering. 35. The ark of the testimony, and the staves thereof, and the mercy seat, 36. The table and all the vessels thereof and the shewbread are all kind of being brought in one place together. All have been finished. All have been commanded by the Lord unto Moses, and the children of Israel carried it out. What is the Lord commanding us of Moses today, or any other leader that he may be speaking through? To get us to repent and turn back to the Lord so that we can be in covenant with him again, right? So basically, it goes on to say, 33, and they brought the tabernacle unto Moses, the tent and all his furnitures, his tackies, his boards, his bars, and his pillars, and his sockets. 34. And the covering of ram skins dyed red. We read this. In the covering of badger skin, and the veil of the covering. 35. The ark of the testimony, and the staves thereof, and the mercy seat. 36. The table and all the vessels thereof, and the shewbread. 37. The pure candlestick with the lamps thereof, even with the lamps to be set in order, and all the vessels thereof, and the oil for light. 38. And the golden altar for the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the hanging of the tabernacle door. 39. The brazen altar and his grate of brass, his staves and all his vessels, the laver and his foot. 40. The hangings of the court, his pillars and his sockets, and the hanging of the court gate, his cords and his pins, and all the vessels of the service of the tabernacle for the tent of the congregation. 41. The cloths of service to do service in a holy place, and the holy garments for Aaron the priest and his sons' garments, to minister in the priest's office. 42. According to all that the Lord commanded Moses, so the children of Israel made all the work. 43, in the last verse of the read, episode 342, says, And Moses did look upon all the work, and behold, they had done it as the Lord had commanded, even so had they done it, and Moses blessed them. Are you ready for the blessing of the Lord? The blessing of Moses from the Lord. Whatever God is asking you to do, whether it seems confusing, tedious, you don't know what you're doing. These people, I'm sure, didn't know when they first started out, but they learned and they got it right. They were obedient to God. Is that something you can do today? And with that being said, shalom, everybody. God bless you. May the Lord bless you, keep you, make his face to shine upon you, be gracious unto you, lift up his face to you, let his constant countenance rest in you, and his shalom peace be in you, on you, and all around you guys. And with that being said, peace, everybody. Have a great day.